Today, we are going to see what is a distributed network or ledger. It's important to understand the basic fabric of blockchain and Bitcoin, because it's going to give you a lot of information about its security. And this is, for the time being, for us, the most important point. I remind you in previous lessons, I ask a question that a lot of my students ask me, and I use it for my courses, is how come a 15-year-old can hack the Pentagon and nobody can hack Bitcoin? So this is an excellent question, and the last two sections were dedicated to this answer. So for my money, I would say that it's better to start talking about Bitcoin from a security point of view, because we already studied that the speed is very slow. It's around 4 to 5, I would say, 4 to 5 transactions per second. We will go back to this topic. So remember, when we talked about network design, cryptocurrencies are, most of them, for all the cryptocurrencies which are totally decentralized, because some of them are not decentralized. So in a way, if they are not decentralized, they can't really be called cryptocurrencies, but this is something we will see later on. So we assume we know now that a distributed network has very, very specific characteristic, and this is what we are going to see now. If you look at the one on the right-hand side, you can see that there is absolutely no central point of failure, unique point of failure, we call it as well. And the fact that there is no central authority means that the nodes, which are the blue node, the nodes are going to connect and to communicate in a certain fashion. And what is it? Exactly the peer-to-peer one, because there is no other way. If you want to send a message to another person or another node, because there is absolutely no centralized parts which are going to get your message and transmit your message, it's obvious that with a distributed network, you must have a peer-to-peer connection. So this is very important. This, we talked last, I think the two segments, we talk about the fact that it's very, very secure. Because again, if you want to attack one node, given that all the nodes have the same amount of information, and each time you've got an update, every node compare with all the others, the amount of data they have, and if it's not the same data, this node has been compromised, okay? So we can say the security is high, but the time the node spent to spy on each other, to compare each other, is very, very long compared to a centralized network. So conclusion, a distributed network, decentralized, meaning that the node do all the jobs, okay, is a peer-to-peer network and is very, very, very resilient, but it's very, very, very slow. This is why a lot of people who hate Bitcoin start always talking about the fact that Bitcoin is so slow that it's not fit for modern economy, which is true. But this is not the point, actually, because if the first layer, we call it first layer, is very secure, very slow, you can build something on top of it, which is the case of the most famous layer 2, which is called Lightning Network. We will study it, I think, in the intermediate course. So for the time being, you've got the Bitcoin peer-to-peer decentralized distributed network, and it's very slow, but it's not, the problem of scaling is not really an issue because you can scale on top of it. Very important for you to understand that. Okay. So I explained that. This is for you if you want to go back to it. And so the kind of conclusion, this distributed network, the Bitcoin blockchain, is completely open, all right? Meaning that anyone can participate. We call it an opt-in system, all right? It's not like a bank account. In a bank account or a bank, in order to participate, to be part of it, you need to be vetted or accepted, and you go through a KYC and an AML process, and they can say at the end of these processes, look, we are sorry, we don't want you, for many, many reasons, okay? So remember that a distributed network such as Bitcoin is totally, completely open, and it's an opt-in system. No one can stop you from downloading the Bitcoin ecosystem on your computer, okay? Inside this decentralized, distributed peer-to-peer system, you don't have to identify yourself, okay? Again, the fact you have to identify yourself is typical of systems which have a centralized third party controlling the whole thing. Why? Because when you call them, they want to be able to identify you. So identity is, one is in a centralized system, is paramount. But when you are dealing with a distributed system, your identity is not important. In fact, your identity is unknown in the Bitcoin ecosystem, okay? So the third point is what I said before, you don't have to be vetted to be there, and you can opt in and opt out whenever you want. It's not absolutely free to do it, all right? And again, because it's an opt-in system, once you are in it, you are going to get all the good aspect of a decentralized network, which is total freedom in communication, and everything you are going to do is going to be for you, meaning that if you've got the private key to your assets or coins, you are absolutely in control. This is what I wanted to say, okay? With a distributed network, you are in control of everything you do, and all your assets are yours. This is very, very important. All right, so in conclusion, a decentralized, distributed peer-to-peer network, okay, allows for the distribution of data, and it's a kind of mutualization of computing power, meaning that the distribution of data, if you are a node, as is explained before, every, let's say 10 minutes in the case of Bitcoin, all the nodes, imagine Bitcoin's got like 10,000 nodes, every 10 minutes, the nodes are going to be updated, and every node all the time is checking on the others, comparing if the data it's got is the same as everyone else. Is one of the node has different data, it means it's been compromised and is going to be expelled from the distributed network. Okay, so there is a kind of synchronicity which happens every 10 minutes. Then, which is also very important, you've got transparency, okay? All the data recorded in the nodes, okay, or not in the nodes, all the data recorded in the blocks, which are created from the nodes and the miners. We will see that later on. But what you have to understand now is like all the data created and stored in this system or by this system is transparent, okay? Why is transparent? Because you need every single node to compare to the others, all right? So this is amazing an open distributed network such as Bitcoin is amazing for audit in real time, or for supply chain, for instance, where you can really have the state of the system nearly in real time, because you need 10 minutes to audit, but not to audit, but because you've got an update every 10 minutes and you are working with layer 1, is going to be nearly real time. But if you build something on layer 2, it can be really real time. We will see all of that later on. It's all intermediate and advanced Bitcoin course. And obviously, I repeat, which is paramount for you, and it's a little bit the conclusion of the previous chapter, which was all about Bitcoin and money. The second chapter, which is now, says that, and we are giving you the evidence for that, the high security of Bitcoin is thanks to this distributed ledger. And we will see that on top of this first structural level of security, you've got 2 more, in total 7, but with this beginner course, we are going to study the next 2. All right, this is it. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed. See you.